You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Do you feel the nervousness? Do you feel it? This is the Packernet After Dark program. If you'd like to call in to this call-in show, the phone number is 608-501-0718. New callers go to the front of the line. Haven't had a new caller in a while. We like new callers around here. Recent new callers, by the way, feel free to call in. We miss you. In the meantime, while we wait for the new callers to call back, TJ from Alabama has something to say.
Hey, Ryan, TJ from Alabama. Listen to the pod, and, some of the naming rights came up. I mean, I brought it up, but then other people brought it up. And it got me thinking, what I really don't understand about naming rights is why it's worth $30 million a year or whatever the hell it is. Mm-hmm. I can understand commercials. I mean, you watch, even if you don't want to watch the commercials are playing. They got, some subliminal messages, and I'm sure they've done the science of how to plant thoughts, plant the, I don't mean, brainwashing, but I just mean advertising. And where you say, oh man, I'm looking for some carpets, and that's right. I remember this name that got in this commercial. So I understand why advertising works. I really don't understand why putting a name on a stadium that doesn't have any of the subliminal messages or anything makes much difference. I mean, you got Mercedes-Benz Stadium and Nissan Stadium, and neither one of those, even if I was a fan of that team, is saying it would make me say, you know what, I need another car. I'm getting a Nissan because the Packers Stadium is Nissan Stadium. I don't see it. So I don't know, but that's the part I don't really understand. You also brought up the show, and yeah, I love the show. I love the format. I love just the, just kind of riff. I mean, I know you put a lot of work into it, but it comes off as a little bit more of just a riff.
Sure.
And I really like that. And I like the quirkiness. I like the kids coming down and saying something at some point, or the Alexa, hey, I wonder if it ever works. Hey, Alexa, turn the lights off. I was see if that works. All that kind of strikes me as fun. So yeah, keep doing it. Not that it's, one man's opinion, but keep doing it. And then
well, I mean, it does mean, I mean, I don't want to be friggin' needy over here, but I mean, it is nice, especially when you try new things, and, obviously the people that like it or are indifferent to it probably are not going to go out of their way to be like, hey, I just wanted to let you know it was good. You know what I mean? I mean, some people do, but more than anything, you're going to hear from the people that don't like it or have some level of critique. And it does, again, I'm not trying to sound freaking soft or whatever. It does wear on you a little bit. Like freaking, I don't know. You put a lot of work into stuff and people don't like it. And that's the nature of the business. You know what I mean? I mean, of all businesses, you try things, people don't like it. What are you going to do? Not everybody's going to like all the crap you put out there. But no, all that to say, I do appreciate hearing that. And I know that it's true because, I mean, that was a big appeal to a lot of we still hear people talk about it, the cricket and the dance party and all that stuff, especially the OGs. That was a part of it. But I know some people are they expect a level of professionalism, and when it doesn't happen, it's like this is unacceptable kind of a thing. And it does, part of me is like, I don't know, like, well, whatever, that's too bad, that's what we do. But part of me is also like, yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe I'm doing something wrong and I shouldn't be doing that. It's freaking difficult because, again, there's thousands of people listening. I know the haters don't believe that. They're like, oh yeah, I'm sure 5 people, whatever. Okay, yeah, maybe. But it's hard to get a grasp on what thousands of people feel about a particular thing. I don't know what people like and don't like. I don't know what you're doing here. Even we have a lot of callers. It's not even that big of a percentage of the audience. So that's why I kind of just have to do stuff and just see how it goes. Just give it time. I can't do it for a day and then 2 people tell me they don't like it and be like, I guess I quit. Just freaking dig in, especially like with the Sal thing. It's like, it might be a bit of an acquired taste for some people. I don't know. Let's just try it. I mean, I know some people like it because I actually like it. I don't listen to my own podcast. I haven't listened to Packers podcasts in forever. I just don't. I don't feel like I have the time anymore. I'm turning into TikTok brain, where anything over like 5 minutes or something is like I don't have that level of commitment in me anymore. My son doesn't watch movies, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Who doesn't like movies? But I'm starting to realize that's probably going to be common in some of the younger people who are growing up with YouTube and TikTok brain. Not that he has TikTok or understands anything about it, but still. Everything is in bite size, like, give me something else, give me something new. And I don't even know where the heck I was going with that, but the point is, I enjoy listening to it, and I think it's entertaining, and I don't really like a lot of things anymore. So we're gonna let it settle. I'm gonna keep tweaking it as things kind of. I already have, if you may have noticed, there's been some changes. If you abandon Sal, give him another shot. As to the advertising, I'm trying to remember as you were saying it. It was back in, I think, high school. It was a fleeting thing. It's one of the, how sometimes somebody will say something and it just kind of sticks with you your whole life and you don't know why. It's not that freaking interesting or profound, I guess. Let me use AI to see if it can better articulate what this. He's probably just full of crap anyways, but AI is good at just pretending that I'm sounding profound. But it kind of came down to, so you were talking about sort of the first order thing, which I think is the smaller thing. I don't know how much of advertising actually cares about, I'm going to flash. I mean, obviously some of it does. Burger King puts out something on there. It probably depends on the company too. Some of these have no real belief that you're going to go out and do this. But they want it to look juicy and delicious and all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of the first order thing. And I'm guessing, especially things like naming rights have a lot less to do with anything like that. The other is more like status. It's more like, if you see commercials for Culver's and you see McDonald's commercials and you see Taco Bell's commercials and you see whatever, but you don't see Burger King. Like, you just don't see it anymore. It kind of becomes one of those things where it's like, whatever happened to that? Nothing. There's still Burger King on the corner. You know what I mean? It just kind of becomes like a thing that doesn't exist anymore. So it's in part a status thing of, look where I'm at. I'm putting myself out front and center as a way of almost like subconsciously signaling to you that we are still a high status company. That we are still like we're killing it out there. We're crushing it. We're partying. People love us. Come on down. You know what I mean? Don't and you're outpacing your competition to where Burger King is like freaking whatever. Probably a bad example because Burger King does have some whatever like Coke or Pepsi or whatever. Like Coke and Pepsi have commercials. RC Cola does not. Nobody thinks about RC Cola. It's kind of like a novelty thing. Royal Crown, man. It's good stuff, by the way. I have not had it in forever. But back in the day, I was very convinced that RC Cola was the best of the colas, whatever the heck cola is. And but it was like a novelty thing. And it largely has to do with, number one, and this was another marketing, I don't know why I listened to marketing ebooks or whatever, but I did. I think it was no, it wasn't the purple elephant one. It was a different one, but it basically laid out that, being first is better than being better because it's just the one that's at the front of your mind. It's just kind of, again, it's a status thing. If you go somewhere, especially think about like insurance. If you go somewhere and you want insurance, you want to go to a reputable place. And so subconsciously, if you go to Allstate or something, you're not going to feel like this is some schlubby thing. If you go to Mission Central insurance.org, like, what the heck is that? I don't know if I can trust this thing. It doesn't matter if they're on TV or on a freaking billboard. In reality, you're not doing an audit of how good of a job they do or shopping around, but there's just a trust factor. So I think it's something in there. I'm sure I'm not quite hitting it. People that know the marketing side of things could articulate this better than I can, but there's something in there where it's more of just a putting yourself out there in front, saying we are in a status battle with our competition, and if I can put my name on the side on the like we are the Superdome, bro. Top that, loser. Kind of a keeping up with the Joneses kind of a thing, you know? Freaking Mercedes-Benz Stadium, dog. What's up, stupid Ford? Although there is Ford Field. What's up, Chevy, you idiots? Oh, what? No Chevy Stadium? There actually is. I had to look it up. It seems like a smaller Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. Premier baseball complex hosts the spring training for Miami. See what I mean, though? Spring training for the Miami Marlins and St. Louis Cardinals. You losers, bro. That's it? And you got Roger Dean. That's probably a local Chevrolet dealer. You suck, dude. Anyways, you get the point. Sorry, you weren't even done.
The AI thing, I know I'm just kind of randomly randling off stuff, but the AI thing, like, the AI thing when it's analysis, like if you did something with AI and it was, hey, Packers drafted this, let's get the AI analysis, they did all the data and like, I'm 100% good with that. I don't really want to listen to AI giving me an opinion. And I realize it's probably your opinion maybe, but like if it's an opinion piece, I want it from a human being, not from AI. But again, I'm not telling you don't do it. Do whatever the hell you want, and I'll either listen to it or don't listen to it.
Sure.
But that's like data analysis, getting things in order. By all means, AI it up. Opinions and just whatever. I'd rather hear it from you, Ryan. All right, that's it. Thanks. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't think of it so much as opinion as just entertainment. You know, it's just a guy screwing around, having fun. But again, everybody's freaking different. Everybody's got their own thing. And all you're really doing, and you're going to get yourself in trouble here, is tempting me to do another AI podcast. So if I do, and it is data related, just know that it is TJ's fault, not my fault. Okay, that has nothing to do with me. I'm a helpless victim in this situation. Okay, he knows my affinity for AI. He knows my freaking mental disorders, and he's the one that went and did that. So, I'm struggling to even get to the next call because my freaking the gears are spinning here. TJ, part 2.
Okay, Ryan. I figure I got a Packer thought as well.
Yep.
I definitely would like the Packers to double up on corner in the draft, and I would like to see a kind of a different kind of double up. I would like them to, of course, do a nose tackle. We need a nose tackle. We actually would like a couple of nose tackles. I would love to have it where, we even potentially double up in nose tackle where we pick somebody who's a little bit more steady established, like Caden McDaniel from Ohio State, and then take a flyer on like a Caleb Banks from Florida.
Yeah.
Somebody big size, a lot of agility, blah, 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 but not much production. But I'd always like the safe pick kind of thing, and then kind of triple down after the draft when it doesn't affect our compensatory picks anymore. I'd like to pick up a Daquan Jones or a Jordan Phillips, and I'm hoping that even a DJ Reader or whatever, I'd prefer not DJ Reader. I'd go with Daquan or Jordan Phillips myself, but neither here nor there. But hopefully those guys are also waiting till after the draft for the same type of reason where it's like, okay, they think the money's going to be a little bit better after the draft, either because of the compensatory thing or because, people don't get what they want in the draft and then their value. So hopefully some of the noses, the veteran nose tackles that are out there, stay out there, and we pick one of those up after the draft. So that's kind of my Packer wish list.
Sure.
Couple of corners, I don't have a favorite. Couple of noses, one more, a little bit more steady and established that has better grades like a Cade McDonald, and then a flyer on like a Caleb Banks, and then pick up a veteran nose that if all else fails, you're going to get a 60 to 65 type grade on a nose, and then I think our defense is pretty stacked.
Yeah.
Provided, of course, Micah comes back. Micah doesn't come back, or Micah not Micah anymore. That sure as hell makes a big difference.
Yeah, we got big problems at that point.
Thanks, Ryan. That's the end of today. Bye. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I mean, I like the high floor, high ceiling approach. You know what I mean? Get a guy that, he might be elite, but at the very least, we believe, you can never know, but we believe, the guy's going to be a safe prospect that he will be able to start and probably soon. But then go out and get that guy that, he might, the bust factor is a little bit higher. Probably not a year one guy. But, if this guy hits, holy crap, kind of a guy. I like that. And yeah, you take multiple swings at corner because not only does it improve your chances, but we probably need multiple corners. If they both hit, they both probably start, So no, that completely makes sense. Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back with Batman. I'm going to stop calling you Bruce and just start calling you Batman from now on. I like that more.
Hey, man. Batman, Bruce.
What's up, dude?
Waiting for Robin, a.k.a. Matilda, to get out of school.
Okay.
And I have a question. Still kind of stuck on this whole financial moving forward situation for the Packers. Just curious, since you are, big into AI, obviously. You've kind of been at the forefront with that stuff. And I actually had an awakening with AI when I was trying to build a business plan. And I was trying to write it myself, and 2 weeks in, I had 2 pages, and I was like, screw this. So I used Gemini.
Yep.
And it spit out a template for me, and I've been filling it out, and it worked wonders. But that same type of application of simplifying things and applying it to whether it's player evaluation or even just the business model itself and maximizing that, isn't that a place where the Packers could potentially find a less expensive way of trying to compete with teams? I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but just curious to see your thoughts on application of AI to this and how the Packers could probably be at the forefront of this. Maybe, you rename Nitschke Culver's practice or whatever, or Quick Trip, and use that money to invest in a huge AI platform that can do all of this, have just maybe a staff of that versus to help kind of not have so many misses, or to analyze data to help give them data that they can work with. What do you think, man? Just curious.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Well, I was going to say we just talked.
Out.
I was going to say we just talked about this, but I think I was actually talking to my son about it. We had a little conversation about AI, and it was, he, like everybody else, is somebody, it's just, they kind of roll their eyes, my wife and everybody else, when I talk about different, AI is just kind of a catch-all. In fact, on X, I started broadening my AI thing away from the baseline AI into robotics and into space exploration and just kind of the whole, it's just kind of the future and daydreaming about what that could be. And anyways, he was definitely more of an AI or future skeptic, like a lot of other people are. Very excited, but also you could tell he's very much like, well, what are people going to do? And is that going to be bad? And all the point is, he brought up too, what if we get to the point where the robots are better at football? And I was like, I don't think we would ever get there because I don't want to watch that. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to watch that. But I did say, one of the areas that AI could probably start to creep in would be in those types of areas. Those are the types of data acquisition, data processing, that kind of stuff. And I think, on one hand, especially football, there's a lot of old school guys. They're always going to want there's still guys out there with their stupid stopwatches for some ridiculous reason. When there's laser time, they got to be out there with their damn stopwatch arguing with lasers. I don't know. I timed them a lot faster. It's because you're stupid. And you can tell because if you listen to my draft podcast, hilariously, they'll talk about how, some people had them timed at this and some people, they don't even have the same times. So, if you guys are so elite with your freaking stopwatches, I'm sorry, I'm going to trust the lasers. And then they had a couple of the pro days where they must have had lasers because they were calling them official times as opposed to unofficial times. And then they showed what the stopwatches were, and they were so far off, it's ridiculous. So anyways, they're obviously going to be stuck in that, and they're going to want a human touch. But at the end of the day, It's kind of like what we're talking about with this other stuff. You have to do things you don't want to do because money is a question. And at the end of the day, if teams are getting an unfair advantage because they're using a much cheaper thing, they're able to, for example, what if you could expand your coaching staff by cutting your front office staff? You can get, because the coaching staff, yeah, I mean, you can do a lot of the work with AI, but as far as the hands-on interpersonal stuff, you'd rather have that. In terms of crunching data and processing all that stuff like a lot of scouts do, I mean, there's a lot of handshaking and all that kind of stuff, but maybe you could shave off a little bit here or there, especially when we get to the point, which I would assume would not take very long. I mean, we're semi there, but we haven't really dipped our toe in, and when we do, it will be an explosion. But video processing. I mean, there's going to be a point in time at what point I don't know, but I'll be able to upload all 22 footage and it'll be able to process the entire thing. And, just like I can go to AI and copy and paste an article and say, tell me X, Y, and Z, I'll be able to upload a video and say, tell me about, the John Smith, the wide receiver, number 18. And, it'll be able to know the routes and all these different kinds of things. I mean, it'll be able to process that stuff. I mean, like it or not, that is just the reality of the situation. And there's just things that machines can do significantly better than human beings can. It's just a reality. And so, yeah, I think right now, I don't know, maybe a little bit. A lot of the stuff with data crunching and whatnot, you can already do that with Python and whatnot. You can do it better with AI helping you code and write scripts and all that kind of stuff. But, yes, I do think at some point, and it might take a little while because there's a lot of work that these guys do, and it's going to be hard for AI to check every box. But, I mean, I've already been advocating for get these guys out of the frickin' cars, driving all around the place to go to these things, get them in an office watching film, make a phone call or something. I mean, it's such an inefficient waste of time when they're on the road 70% of their day. You know what they're not doing? Watching film or anything productive. They're sitting in a car, driving from one stadium to the next, and then they drive out there. They're tired, they're exhausted, they're frickin' hungover. They get out there all disheveled. They shake the coach's hand. They watch a guy from the sideline where the view sucks. You can't see what you're looking at. The guy's 50 yards away. You watch him play football for a couple hours. You write a couple notes down, get back in your car, another 5-hour trip to the next place or 17-hour trip or whatever it is. What a waste of freaking time. What an absolute inefficient waste of time. It's stupid. Make a phone call or something, or set up some kind of a video thing. I mean, we're so antiquated with this stuff. We could do things so much better than with what we're doing. But anyways, I think there will be pressure applied. Once one team does it, they will have an advantage, and other teams will have no choice but to follow suit. Otherwise, you're essentially you're just subsidizing these positions. It's a charity at that point because you just don't want to let them go as some kind of a protest to this technological revolution.
Hey, what's going on, Ryan? Chris from Alabama.
Hey.
Just giving a call today. Just had a thought, man. Kind of a thought. It's kind of draft. It's really team based, but it is involving the draft. Now, my thinking of the draft, and I know we have made a couple of moves since, I said something about the necessary needs that we really needed to go and draft. Some of them are still the same, but I was just sitting back. I actually would listen to the Packernet After Dark from yesterday, and when we was talking about the breakout players and had whoever was offense and defense. I think it was Kyle Madison that called in about that. But as we were talking and you were just naming off the players and everything about the offensive linemen, Jordan Morgan just popped in my head, and all this time I've been thinking, like, we need to go interior lineman center, guard or whatever, build that up from it in. And something just popped in my head, especially when you were saying that, you were looking at the D-tackle situation and you looked at it and it was like it was way worse than what you first you thought.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been looking at interior lineman, and I just thought, like, okay, we got Jordan Morgan that's going to be our left tackle, and I couldn't think of nobody else that's behind him. So I'm like, who else do we have? So I'm just like, light bulb. We talking about an interior lineman. I wouldn't be surprised if Goop go tackle again early.
Yeah.
It might drive some people crazy. But the thing about it is really riding on if Jordan Morgan can be the left tackle that we drafted a couple of years ago in the first round to be. That is an unknown. Me, myself, in my opinion, I hope he does. I'm not that confident from what the little that I've seen, albeit that most of it has been at right guard and not at left tackle. So maybe getting back in his natural position and just saying, look, as long as they say, look, bro, you're left tackle, this is what you're going to play. I want you to focus on being a left tackle. Don't worry about the guard situation. Don't worry about being a right guard or left guard. You're not going to be there. You're going to be at left tackle. You're going to specifically be our premier left tackle.
Mm-hmm. Part 2 from Chris from Alabama.
All right, 3-minute monster got me. But, yeah, if he can just buckle in and just be a left tackle, then maybe he could be something. But, we might have to go left tackle again. Especially if Belton is going to settle in at right guard, and if he, settles into that position, and then, Jordan Morgan might bottom out and not be bad. Then it's just like, what's the backup plan? So I think left tackle, pure left tackle, is not going to be out of the question, and I think, as I think about it, it's a bigger need than what I thought. Well, it's just like, it's corner. I still think corner is our biggest need, even with the St. Jude's signing. I think we still need more. I think we need to bring in a couple more corners through the draft and try to weed some more corners out here in the next year or two. But left tackle is that it kind of moved up the list to me though. But yeah, man, we might need to be looking at left tackle, and we might need to be looking at left tackle early. Even if Jordan Morgan becomes a stud, what if he get hurt? Who's behind him? If it ain't number for depth, like, we're kind of slim there. But yeah, that's all I wanted. You know what I'm saying? I was just thinking about it, like, we really don't have anybody behind them that I can think of that can just come in. I know Kennard is swing, but like just true left tackle. So yeah, that might be a bigger need than what I thought and maybe others thought. But go Pack, go, man, and I'll talk to y'all later.
Well, I don't disagree, especially if we're going to talk about how, the Packers like to get these versatile guys that can play multiple. So it might be kind of sneaky where it's, he's an outside inside guy. They'll probably put him inside, whatever, because they already have their tackle. But at the end of the day, they're like, we'll see. Maybe he's our tackle. But and we'll leave our options open, as they like to do. I think the other thing that is kind of evident by all of this, because I don't disagree, right? And the talk about running back and all these other positions, they're all correct. So what does that tell us? We're not going to get everything. Everything is kind of a need. And so that's why when the draft comes, whatever it is what it is. Because there's really just not a lot that you look at and go, oh, no, we don't need that. We need these two things, and that's fine. And then we go get them, and everything's perfect. That's not how that works. So, yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised for almost anything. I would be surprised with wide receiver early. I mean, it's, again, nothing's impossible. If they felt that was by far the best option, it was there's one of the few first round guys, and he's still there. And what the heck is it? Whatever, sure, do it, I guess. But I wouldn't really think that would be a thing. But if you're talking running back, offensive line, pretty much across the board, like you said, tackle is not out of the question. Then, running back or tight end or defensive tackle or edge or linebacker or corner. Yeah, I could see it. It's like that, the whole Dwight Schrute thing where, happened in 1 month. I could see that happening. 2 months, it's a real possibility. 1 year, I could see that happening. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I agree with all the things. Like, it's just, yes, it could happen. But again, that's where you kind of get to, like, everybody's just going to be real disappointed because, or I shouldn't say everybody, some people, or just the negative people who are very good at noticing the things that we miss are going to have a very easy time pointing out, oh, you didn't get this. It's impossible, especially when really the only pick that anybody's going to care about is the first one. Because by the time you get to the third round, everybody thinks that the pick is a waste anyways. That's what happens all the time. Usually it's the first two, but we don't have a first. So we get one swing at this thing, and everyone's like, oh, you didn't get a corner until round 4? Like, bro, what are we supposed to do? So yes, definitely think there are a lot of needs, and we're not going to get all of them, especially early enough to satisfy everybody. The best you can do is, you got a couple relatively early picks, and then you double up with a couple things, and we'll just see how it goes. But you can't get a running back, a tight end, multiple offensive line. I mean, we need guards, we need a center, we probably need a tackle, at least depth. We definitely need at least one defensive tackle. We need edge for sure. We need linebacker, as we'll talk about on tomorrow's podcast. We certainly need corner. How many picks do you think we have? So some stuff is going to be way later to where it feels like you failed because you didn't get it earlier. Some stuff's not even going to get picked. And somebody's going to be pissed. It's the nature of the business, man. I don't know what else to tell you. All right, we'll take a break, and we got 3 Uncle Ricos on the other side.
Someone is at the front door.
Someone is at the front door. Uncle Rico, what do you think about that?
Yo, Ryan, it's your Uncle Rico.
Yo.
What the hell? I think it's Wednesday morning. Anyway, just listening to the pod. One of Clayton's guys used to say that. Oh, it was Jake or something. Listen to the pod. I like to say pod. Anyways, the stock sale, Packer stock sale. I think that the value in that comes from the infrequency,
Yeah.
The less often they do it, the better the, the more novelty or whatever you would say it is.
Yeah.
When I used to go out of town from my world here, from where I live, used to go to the Dunkin' Donuts, right, in another town. If I go to a larger town, at a Dunkin' Donuts. Well, when Dunkin' Donuts came to my town, haven't been there since. Not exciting anymore.
Yeah.
So, that kind of thing. Anyways, what else I want to talk about? I don't think there's anything really. Say hi to everybody. Nope. I got nothing. Go Pack, go.
Fair enough. I think he's got a little more.
Yo, Ryan, it's Rico again. Your uncle. There was something. So you were saying that we need the NFL to make big money so the Packers get big money in the revenue sharing, and then that's good. I don't know exactly how that works. Maybe if I Googled it or something, I know that, shared somehow the revenues of the larger teams, the Packers end up with some of that. I just don't know if every team gets does every team get the same? Like once a year, the NFL decides how much money every team gets, and they send out a check so the Packers get a larger check than the Niners because they have a smaller market. I mean, does the money come from the large market teams? They yank it from them and give it to the Packers and the Bills or whoever's the small market team? I just was curious because you said we need for them. And then when you were talking about that, I was thinking, I don't know how that helps the Packers because then every team gets money, but maybe that's not how it works, I was like, how does it help the Packers keep up when every team gets a check? Kind of seems to even out, but maybe every team doesn't get as big a check. Help a brother out. Rico out.
Yeah, so let me clarify that. I mean, it doesn't help the Packers in terms of giving them an advantage. It helps the Packers because all the money outside of the rev share is what they can't compete with. So as an example, if there was no revenue share and they said you're on your own, it would be the Packers as the team that would dissolve. Because everybody else's ability to make money far exceeds our ability and we wouldn't be able to compete. If, on the other hand, the only money was the league revenue share, let's say it was a full communist thing where all the money was pooled and redistributed, the Packers would be, again, not an advantage, but there would be zero disadvantage, right? So the larger the percentage of revenue share that makes up your total revenue, the more it helps the Packers, because all the other stuff that they can't compete with only makes up a small percentage. So it doesn't matter, right? Like, we make more with our hotels and everything than you do. So what? That's a piddly piece of the pie. So right now, I believe like 30, depending on the team, 30 to 40% of their revenue comes from their own, ticket sales, jersey sales, hotel revenue, restaurant revenue, food concessions, which is a lot. But again, as these teams start to pull away, and they are, because we're not going to be able to keep up with them, if the NFL's revenue goes soaring through the roof, it's not going to be 30 to 40% of the revenue because that's going to kind of flatline. And it's not going to keep pace with the NFL's pace, at least right now, which means instead of it being 40% of the revenue, like all the money you make from all the other crap you do locally, it becomes 35, then 30, then 25. And as long as that continues to go down, then it becomes more and more and more of an even playing field because the vast majority of money that comes in is the money that we all share equally. And if the NFL stagnates and it doesn't grow and it doesn't boom and the money doesn't explode, these other teams are going to continue to grow and they are going to continue to outpace us. And we're in a real bad spot. And now we're looking at, I mean, if the team doesn't fold, number one, we're definitely putting naming rights on the stadium. We don't have a choice. We're selling out in every way we possibly can, and we're probably going to be behind. We're not going to have the money to hire the coaching staffs and the analytics staffs and everything else that everybody else has because they just have a larger pool of money that we just don't have. And again, that's always going to be kind of the case, but if it's a small percentage, it's not going to be very noticeable. So that was kind of the point I was making.
Yo, Brian, it's Uncle Rico again. I was remembering, because I'm listening, so Jared, the Uber driver / Dur trader, said that just refresh my memory on the 5 years out draft pick trading thing. I think that's freaking wild. I don't like it. I mean, if it's a thing, I guess it'll be fine, but I think I mean, the Browns, you get a pick from the Browns for 5 years down the road. They might not even be a team 5 years down the road.
Right.
I think that's a little risky business there, but hey, whatever.
That's just
it'll
good
be
business.
Wacky. I'm sure I'm sure the teams that want that are either A, trying to take advantage of teams that suck, or they're teams that suck want it, and they're like gonna make their future even bleaker than it already is. It'll be amusing. All right, go out.
Yeah, like I said, I'm probably speaking incorrectly about the situation in terms of what their intentions are with it. I don't know, but that's why I'm kind of excited to hear how the negotiation. It's probably just going to go nowhere, but I'm a little interested, I guess you can say, to hear the negotiations and where those things lead, because I want to hear the arguments for it. You know what I mean? What is it? What would you like to do? I don't understand what your plan is here. And maybe it is something stupid. Maybe it is like, well, you know, we just feel like maybe someday we might want to trade 5 first-round picks for a guy. Which, who is that even going to be? Myles Garrett's probably 3 first-round picks. Are we trading for Pat Mahomes? What are we doing? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. And like, has that ever arisen in your mind, or as a situation? Has it ever come up where it's like, boy, oh boy, if we just had more first-round picks, we would been able to pull that off, but stupid NFL won't let us. I can't imagine that's a thing. But even the other side, even where it's like, well, maybe it's about being smaller and it's about I want to trade 20, 30. But when does that ever happen? Like even 2 years out, they don't really do that. So I don't know. I don't know what the purpose could possibly be. But again, this is where I would kind of just like to hear what people have to say, because I don't have a freaking clue what the benefit of this is. So we'll see. We'll see if it even becomes like a talking point, and then we'll kind of go from there. All right, I'm out of here. You all have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.